In this lecture, we're going to be looking at volume. So volume is the other thing that you look at that's part of technical analysis. You have the charting, so the prices, because all of these come from prices, but you also have the volume. And the volume is this thing you see at the bottom. And the volume is basically the quantity of funds transacted, right? So the more money is transacted, the higher the volume is. Now, why would you care about volume? What would volume tell you? Well, does it make a difference if there's $1 billion that were transacted or $100 billion? Yes, it would, right? If you're looking at real estate and all of a sudden you see that prices of houses in your neighborhood increased because one guy bought a house at a very high price, does that give you an indication that prices will continue to increase? No, it's just one guy. But let's say all of a sudden there's hundreds and hundreds of people who start buying and selling at higher prices in your neighborhood. Well, would that give you an indication that prices are increasing? Yes. And sometimes you'll even see the volume, the quantity of transactions increase before the price increases. So you'll see that a lot of people are buying and selling, and then you'll slowly see prices going in one direction as there is more demand than supply, or supply than demand, right? So the quantity of transaction has an impact and is very necessary when prices move in a direction in a strong fashion. Otherwise, they might just revert, and it might just be because of a low amount of supply or demand. That's why something went up. Let's say there's 5 people who want to buy houses in your neighborhood, but nobody's selling. Then prices might go up, but it wasn't pushed up by demand. It was just a lack of supply at that time. So I would prefer seeing hundreds of transactions and the prices going up to tell myself, hey, it's demand that's pushing up prices and not a lack of supply. So in the same way, when you're looking at volume, you know that for directional moves, if there's a lot of volume, you have more confidence in them. And if you want a change in directions, it's also necessary that it comes with big volume. So if I look here, let's say I'm looking at Australian dollar here. Okay. Well, I can see here. Okay. So I can see here there's a spike of volume here. So volume was pretty low. And then at one point, prices really dropped. And you can see here that volumes really spiked. And then when volume spiked a lot here, we stopped. And then volume really kept on spiking and prices went back up, and then we recovered. And even here, you see that there's a bunch of volume. So volume was pretty okay. And then at one point, volume really spiked. And you can see that volume spiked actually here. You can see here there's a volume spike. Okay. And this is here, right? So prices hadn't even dropped. And then prices dropped with an increase in volume. So everybody was agreeing with that. There was a lot of selling, and that's what pushed prices down. And you can see then we had a change in directions. We had a change in directions, and prices started to go this way. Okay. And you can see that if you are looking at volume, that might give you warning that something might happen. And you see that volume's coming in, and you'll be like, okay, well, let me just step away and see what happens. And then when, we broke down here with high volume, then you might say, okay, well, look, we're breaking down and there's high volume. I think that this is going to keep going in that direction, because it's not just a few people or a bit of money that's saying that. It's a lot of money that's saying we're going in that direction. And then you might take a trade in that direction. So volume helps pretty much. So always have an eye out on volume, regardless if you're trading 1-day charts or if you're trading 1-hour charts or 30 minutes. When you're looking at volume, it might tell you when something is going on, right? It might tell you something is about to happen or something is happening, and you might want to take off your orders, not trade for that period, or wait until something happens and enter a trade in the same direction as the volume. So it's very helpful. So make sure you always have it on your charting.